Hello and welcome to Simon Miller's Pro Wrestling Show, where for some reason my lights make it look like I've never slept and I got a really red face. Oh well, never mind. That's life. I haven't really slept. I've got a damn cold again. Miller just gets ill all the time now. We had a good 30 years of never getting ill, and now I'm getting ill. But thank you very much for joining me today. As always, a big shout out to everyone that's live in the YouTube chat right now. I appreciate it. Already seen that some people have thrown some super chats in there. All of you get hand on the hearts for that. I appreciate it. Any super chat obviously allows me to keep doing this. And again, if you want to do a super chat, you can. You can ask any question you want, make a statement, call me an asshole, whatever you want to do, you're absolutely allowed to do. And look, if you are on my YouTube channel, right, give me a subscribe. What are we up to now? YouTube numbers. 91.3. We're on the road. Can we get to 100,000 before the end of the year? Very unlikely. But you never know. And of course, another shout out to everyone listening on the podcast version right now. iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, everything like that. You can check out Simon Miller's Pro Wrestling Podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Simon316. And I'll say this. What's that? Oh, I spilled something on my microphone. Yeah. And I'll say this just because we are, a few weeks away from Christmas. SimonMiller.BigCartel.com. Why not buy some wrestling merchandise for your nearest and dearest? Can you imagine? What is this? Oh, it's the bald guy I kind of like on YouTube. Don't know what you're talking about. Raw was good though, wasn't it? Well, I don't know. It's weird. Like, as I've said before, I always try and stay... Well, I do. I stay off social media and the internet before I've seen the show because... I don't think it would happen with me, but I subscribe to this idea that maybe other people's opinions would get in your head, and I don't want to be influenced, right? I always want, even though some people think I'm biased, whatever, I like to be as honest and transparent as possible. And to me, the thing with Raw is the good bits were great and the bad bits were really bad. But there weren't that many bad bits. There were a bit of meh bits, but to me, meh bits... There's no point jumping down. It's a 3-hour show, right? You're always going to get average bits on stuff like that. But yeah, the best thing to me was the Seth Rollins stuff. And that's my man, Derek Arlen, the super chat. Massive support of the show. Derek, thank you so much. He said, I wanted to get this in before going to work. To me, this is the best Seth has looked in a long time, and I am again invested in his character. Hell, the authors of pain are being used, and I'm always up for that. You're 100% correct. And you have echoed my own thoughts on my own sentiments exactly. That promo that Seth Rollins cut on Raw was absolutely brilliant. It was believable. It was based in reality. It was WWE listening to the reaction that he's been getting from the fans. It allowed the crowd to boo him. It allowed Seth Rollins to bark back. Everything he's saying wasn't necessarily untrue. It was just the place where he was coming from that was a bit controversial. It was great. It was 100% the right thing for WWE to do. I thought the shot of Seth Rollins standing next to AOP looked great. They absolutely kicked the crap out of Kevin Owens, which is what you want. You've got to make sure we underline this is our top heel. It's a crazy journey. If I had told you this is what was going to happen after he won the Royal Rumble and pretty much universally we were all behind him, that we were going to have a heel turn before the end of the year, I don't think you would have believed me. But who even cares? Who even cares? The coolest thing about wrestling is that we can go on these adventures that, take twists and turns when we listen organically. Hate that word, but we're using it. Listening organically to the fan base and what they want and what they don't want. And it was like we were desperate to boo Roman Reigns at one point, but we weren't going to do it. And again, now people, because they like to be smarky, going, when it goes to show that Roman Reigns is more important than Seth Rollins, I don't care about stuff like that. I care about what we're doing in the here and now. And in the here and now, we have taken Seth, and we have done exactly what we should have done. It almost justifies everything at Hell in a Cell. Probably not. But that's how much I enjoyed the whole... And it wasn't a super long-term thing, but it's been going on for about a month. It's been going on since Survivor Series. We've been planting these seeds, so we didn't rush it. Hopefully, I assume Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins will be announced for TLC. Even if it's not, you can continue to build. Just great all round. I couldn't agree with you more, Derek. Non-WWE guy in the super chat, thank you, my friend, just says, why won't WWE give Alistair Black a manager? Didn't even know that was something we were clambering for, but this is why I love this show. This is why I love doing it. This is why I love my Patreon, my super chats, everything. You never know what's going on in people's minds. I don't think he needs a manager. I think that would kind of deflate his aura a little bit. He comes across like a bit creepy and a bit weird. I think you want to, not weird, that's not the right word, but alternative. I think you want to keep that alive. I don't think Alistair Black needs a manager. Very excited for Alistair Black versus Buddy Murphy at TLC. Please don't put it on the pre-show, WWE. I think that could be great. And shout out to Shelby Lynn, the super chat, who very rightfully pointed out Rusev looked like he was having a blast like he did. Rusev looked like he was a great time. He's wearing a Donald Duck t-shirt. Not going to lie, too long, too annoying, that segment for me. I went into it with a positive mindset, as I always do. Lana started to grate on me. I didn't really understand the point of it. And it went on, like I say, for 762 years. And by the end of it, I was like, I'm quite happy to move on. So that wasn't for me. But you're right. I can't criticize Rusev, Lana, and Bobby Lashley, who have bought into this as much as anybody was ever going to buy into a narrative like this. And they've done their best with it. Bit weird that their first match is a tables match. But that's WWE and stipulations for you. But yeah, let me know what you thought about the divorce. Hilarious to see a divorce live on TV. I say this on Ups and Downs. Again, if you're watching this live on YouTube, 40 minutes. So I'll be a bit later today. I was a bit delayed for many reasons. But later on today, Ups and Downs for Raw and What Culture. Check it out. But, you know, it ticked all the normal divorce proceeding boxes. You know, we had the wrestling match signed at the end, and we had someone get thrown through a table, and we had our entrance music, and we had a host. You need all of that when you when you're going through a divorce. Oh man, did it make me laugh. Yeah, it wasn't. I agree that Rusev was having the time of his life. It's kind of weird because I kind of get the same sensation from the Kabuki Warriors. They look like they've really just bought into this heel turn, like we're going to have fun with it. And I feel like that transcends through my TV. And while Rusev is doing the same, I guess the angle has kind of jumped the shark for me. And yeah, I didn't need a divorce court to start Raw, especially one that went about, it felt like 30 minutes. It probably wasn't that long, but it felt like, it's just not for me. Doesn't mean it was bad, doesn't mean it was good. It just means as a wrestling fan, when I sat there thinking to myself, am I getting anything out of this? My answer was no. However, tie that into the Seth Rollins stuff. Again, I thought the build throughout the whole show was great. Like, you know, you start off with Seth Rollins kind of talking crazy, saying, you know, I'm going to allow you to get beaten up by the AOP, Kevin Owens, because I'm sick of you. You don't believe me. I'm going to make the unpopular choice, but the only choice I'm able to make. And then, yeah, we just kept teasing. I like the reveal, like a little bit cheesy with the hood and pulling up, but that's pro wrestling, man. Let's not shy away from that. And giving Kevin Owens a curb stop on the concrete as the AOP just watched on. And also the Authors of Pain slamming Kevin Owens into the car door, which looked absolutely vicious. Just awesome. Awesome all around. Best heel turn I can remember. And I'll tell you what else I loved about it. We finally got a reason as to why somebody has changed their character. And people come to me all the time and say I'm an idiot, fine, whatever. Lacey Evans is probably a great babyface, but I've had no reason as to why. Even kind of Bayley didn't give me a reason. AJ Styles didn't give me a reason. Not Kevin Owens kind of turning face didn't give me a reason. But his whole thing, you know, was a bit crazy since he came back. But it's so much more satisfying and it's so much more rewarding when you've watched the TV show and you know why Seth Rollins has done this, and then he explains it with a proper passion promo. It just makes it all the more exciting. And it makes you hate him even more because you hear what he's saying, and you're like, well, you kind of got a point, but I hate the way you're going about it. It's the best heel turn for me in years. And it's probably one I'm forgetting. But again, it's Seth Rollins, the master of the heel turn. Was it 2015, whenever the hell he turned on the Shield? Probably later than that. I can't remember. But that was really, really well done. Had proper motives too. And now this one has a motive as well. That's all you need. It's so simple sometimes. I think we forget that. You know, keeping things basic isn't the worst thing in the world. Somebody mentioned Daniel Bryan's heel turn. I like Daniel Bryan's heel turn. He doubled down on it, right? And I'll say the same thing with Seth Rollins if we get 6 months down the line. Daniel Bryan just was all over the place. And then I think WWE realized that we love him too much, which we do. We do love Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is the best. Shelby Lynn in the super chat. Thank you, Shelby. Appreciate it. It says, totally agree. The Rusev Lana thing was way too long. He just made me smile. Totally agree with that. He made me smile as well. Like, again, he was wearing a Donald Duck t-shirt, right? And last week he was wearing that Bob Ross t-shirt. So he's clearly having a ball with it. But at the same time, yeah, it was just the idea of it. I'm not 100% sure where we're going, what we're doing, what the what the plan is. But I assume Bobby Lashley wins on Sunday. I guess we'll do a prediction show later in the week. I guess that he wins because I don't think that WWE wants to stop this feud. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. It was just weird. It was really weird. Temujin in the super chat says, do you think WWE would do an adultery storyline these days with the genders reversed? The attitude towards women in 2019 still troubles me. What you mean? So Rusev should have been the guy cheating on Lana. Yeah, I mean, I think all things should be on the table in the modern day, especially where we're at as a society. Yeah, I guess you do. Well, I guess you could kind of argue that that's what they did with Aiden English with Lana, and Lana did get her revenge. But then, yeah, you can also argue now it turned out that Aiden English was 100% right. It is difficult. I think that WWE always likes to go back to tropes with their storytelling. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm saying that's just something they seem to do. Hence, I mean, look at Rusev himself. He debuted in, 2013, 14, something like that. And he was the evil foreign guy. And you're like, evil foreign guy. Like, come on, man. The world is smaller than ever now with social media. Who even cares where you were born? I don't. Nothing wrong with being patriotic. I've talked about this before. There's nothing wrong with being patriotic, but it's a lottery where you get born. It's a lottery what kind of world you're born into. You know, you get people that are born into privilege, and you get people that are born into poverty. So trying to tell me that I shouldn't like Rusev because he's from evil foreign lands is like, it's just absolutely nonsensical. But again, that's what they go back to. So yeah, they probably should have a bit of fun and change it, switch it up a bit when it comes to those ideas. I guess it depends where this. I don't know how this story ends. That's my big problem with this story. Does it end with Rusev winning, but then he hasn't really won because he has to see his ex-wife, necking off with Lana all the time? Does he get back with Lana? Because that's going to be a tough pill to swallow. What does Lana do after? What does Bobby Lashley do? I mean, if Rusev wins the feud, he can then go on to fight for a title or something. But yeah, I don't know what the out of this is. It's very odd. Frequently Fly in the super chat says, over under on how long before Seth's cheered again? I don't think it's going to be a while. I think if we do things right, it shouldn't be for ages. It's a difficult one because I kind of want Kevin Owens to win the feud and cement his, himself as the top babyface on Raw, but maybe that's not the best idea, given we need to look after Seth too. So I don't know. I think you can probably keep this going easily throughout 2020 if you play your cards right. And maybe, I'm kind of talking pie in the sky stuff here, maybe you can switch it round to where you can get him back to the position he should have been as a good guy, using his momentum as a bad guy, which is what we should have done back in 2016 when he returned from his knee injury, but we didn't. Maybe Seth Rollins is just much better as a bad guy, right? He could be like The Miz or a Randy Orton or a Rick Rude, one of these guys that just has this, I don't like saying asshole personality because that's not fair, but he's very good at ticking off an audience. Some people are really good at being the good guy, some people are really good at being the bad guy, and I think everything we saw last night on Raw proves that Seth Rollins is, I would say he is better at it as far as I'm concerned, especially with the story we've got going. Like, it's a narrative that has so much sense in the world, and he can blame fans, which again is a bit of a stereotypical thing to do, but he has a reason to blame the fans, much like The Rock did back in the late 90s, because they have been being an asshole to him. I absolutely love it. My man Valbert in the super chat says, I can only hope the smart fans, I'm avoiding the term, will keep booing Seth. It's working and I like it. I know what you mean. You don't want them now to start doing the other thing because, yeah, I totally see where you're coming from. I hope that we have a good enough story with the AOP and Kevin Owens, and we allow Seth Rollins to keep, spitting out his rhetoric, that we can keep him as an absolute twonk for a while. And I think it's made Raw feel so much fresher already. Like, I don't necessarily think that Seth Rollins as the guy on Raw was working. You could argue that from a rating standpoint too. I've always wanted to see Kevin Owens in that position, and now I'm getting it. So yeah, all over, it's 2 thumbs up from me. It really, really is 2 thumbs up from me. I really, really dug it. As I did for most of Raw. Like, if we move into the Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Kabuki Warrior stuff, that doesn't make any sense. And shout out to Wimplo86, who actually says, Kyrie and Oscar are my favourites, and I'm not fond of these handicap matches. I don't think it's making them look strong. I would agree. It's strange. I liked both the Charlotte and Becky Lynch ones. I thought they were really well done to try and get both over in the way that they needed to. But there's always going to be the question hanging up in the air, how come the tag team champions can't beat one person? And I kind of didn't mind it so much last week because Charlotte Flair lost. But this week, Becky won via DQ. I didn't think there was any need to do that. I think you can have Becky Lynch lose, and she lost to the tag team champions. It doesn't affect her momentum. It doesn't affect her standing in the company. It doesn't affect her role as women's champ. I thought that was a bizarre choice. And I don't get the match as well. I know that it's now been twisted. This is Becky Lynch trying to get back at Oscar to pay the debt. But that's kind of been thrown in last minute, and there are easier ways to go about it. Also, the bigger point is you haven't defended your belt in like 3 months. Not your fault, but you should probably be defending that belt. The cool thing about the Kabuki Warriors, like I mentioned earlier, is that they're having a ball, and you can tell they're having a ball. I love Oscar's, ranty promos backstage in Japanese. She sounds terrifying. They're such good workers that, I always like seeing them in the ring. Even though there's some question marks around it, they have been the strongest booked women tag team champions since February, since they were introduced. I know, not a high bar, but a bar nonetheless. I just really hope they don't lose on Sunday. I know it's going to be a TLC match. I think that's a bit ridiculous too. That felt forced, that we all of a sudden using chairs and tables. Why? Well, we're going to do a TLC match. But we'll see. I don't like Charlotte and Becky teaming up because I felt like there had to be some kind of redemption story to actually believe that they ever would do that, because they hated each other to such a degree. But it will be good. Because again, Charlotte's really good, Becky really good, Kairi Sane's really Oscar. I mean, they're probably four of the best women on the entire roster. So at least from our entertainment point of view, they'll have good matches, as they did on Raw. I mean, Becky versus those two was awesome. But yeah, there's a lot of plot holes that you can pick apart in it, should you so wish. Shout out to Jim Girdler, who's just put some money in the super chat. Jim, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Michael Kennedy makes the best point of the day in the super chat. Who else got a migraine from Lana? I mean, that was the hardest thing about it. When she went again for about a year, I was like, I can't. It's too... I understand that she's meant to be annoying, but there's always that fine line. I actually think up to this point, she's been doing really well. Not so much with this. But we'll see what happens. Geeked Out Nation in the super chat says, Raw and SmackDown is just so boring. They keep using cliches, being simple-minded. It's bad creative, but the bad is just becoming the norm at WWE. I think you have a point overall. I thought this episode was good. I like this week's Raw. I mean, the bad to me, again, would be the confusion between Charlotte and Becky. What else was there? The Viking Raiders versus the Street Profits, I thought was a really good 4-minute match. But then you do question, well, why have we not built this up? Why are Street Profits losing in their first title match to the main roster in such a quick time? That was a disconnect for me. And I think that's my major issue with Raw, is that I wanted to see the Street Profits versus the Viking Raiders for the belts because I thought it made sense. But then the way we execute it, just a bit like, well, that's... the Viking Raiders have been having squash matches the last few weeks. Why didn't we insert the Street Profits into little segments there with them goading Eric and Ivar or whatever? I think that would have built up to it. And, the Mojo Rawley stuff was a bit... The Sami Zayn being on the show was unbelievable. I almost exploded. I know I get super wrestling geek about this, but how on earth we can continue this? It's not the wild card Raw now. Sami Zayn applied for a wrestler's manager's license, which has never existed in the 100 or plus so years we've been having wrestling on TV. He didn't need to be associated with Mojo Rawley, even though maybe that's tying into some kind of group they're going to set up. But there's so many other people that can fill that void. So many other people could step into that role. I don't know why it annoys me so much, but it's just either the brand split is real or it's not real. We're only like 2 weeks outside of Survivor Series, and we've already, after going, oh no, it's real now, we've scrapped it. I just don't get it. Put Sami Zayn on SmackDown and put somebody else on Raw. It's the one thing that irks me more than anything. It's like, I tell you why, because Brock Lesnar, he quit Fridays because he had to go to Mondays. Okay, but then Bayley's allowed to go to wherever she wants. That's the kind of stuff that people that don't watch wrestling ask me about, and I don't know what to tell them because it doesn't make any sense, because stuff just happens. So yeah, that would have been in my my hell journal. There was something else as well, but I can't remember what it is now. But no, most I thought Raw... Not everything. Drew McIntyre versus Matt Hardy, right? Sucks that you use Matt Hardy like that because he's a legend. But when you look at Drew McIntyre, who's kind of treading water at the moment, he whooped a legend's ass. So it all depends on what direction you want them to head. I, again, would have let that build up and done it at the pay-per-view and then had Drew McIntyre beating him, because then he wouldn't have been involved in weird angles with Randy Orton where he's just walking off. But ultimately, Matt Hardy's not doing much anyway, and Drew McIntyre deserves to be pushed hard, and he beat a Hardy boy. So... it all depends on what side of the fence you fall down on. Lamel KH2 in the super chat says, Funhouse Bray is a chance for Bray to show off his agility. One of the major criticisms of The Fiend is that he slows the pace down for his match. Yeah, I saw so many people being mad that we're going to get normal Bray Wyatt as opposed to The Fiend. I think it's a great twist. The Fiend doesn't have any beef with Bray Wyatt, doesn't have any beef with the Miz in his past, so it makes sense why he wouldn't bring that out. That bad side, he doesn't control that bad side. It's like Batman, it just comes out. And it makes the match far more interesting. I thought everything between The Miz and Bray Wyatt on SmackDown was good. The only criticism that I agreed with is if you're going after a younger demographic and the catalyst for this feud is The Miz's family being in trouble, that may not connect with you because you probably don't have kids because you are a kid yourself. I don't have kids, but I was still able to vibe with it. I just thought it was really well done. And if you had told me beforehand, was it going to be that well done, I probably would have said no. So I'm not going to overly criticize it too much. And yeah, I want to see how Firefly Funhouse Bray wrestles. If we can get a Mankind situation going on here when he feels like a different character, it could absolutely offer something different. And that's what we want from wrestling, right? Do we want just another Fiend match? No, I don't. It's TLC. It's the December pay-per-view. It's a mini feud with The Miz. Let's do something different. Let's stir it up. Sean Gearhorn in Super Chat says, shout out to Sean, always supporting, appreciate it, hand on the heart for you. Somebody said earlier about giving Alistair Black a manager. We saw the beginnings of a split between Zelina Vega and Andrade. Put the husband and wife together and set that program. I don't know whether we saw the ending of Zelina Vega and Andrade. I know he slammed into her and there was animosity there, but it wouldn't surprise me if WWE dropped that. I also don't think if Zelina Vega's character works with Andrade's character. I'd find that a little bit off-putting. I don't, much like Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch being shoved together in the summer just because they were dating. I'm kind of being a hypocrite here, but I don't always need real life to be mirrored in my wrestling. But of course, when Seth Rollins is doing it with his relationship with the fans, that does work. But look, maybe they'll prove me wrong. Maybe I think my thing is, I think Andrade benefits more from having Zelina Vega in his corner than Alistair Black does. To me, Alistair Black doesn't need a second. He's this kind of spooky, interesting dude who you don't really know much about and just wants to fight. I think his promos are fine from his room. Needs to get out of the room now. He's been there a long time. But yeah, I think Andrade benefits more. But we'll see, man. I'm happy to be proven wrong. Geeked Out Nation, the Super Chat says, it can't be healthy that I just hate to watch Raw and SmackDown. Well, it's not healthy or unhealthy, my friend. Just don't do it. That's the best thing about entertainment. You can choose what to do and what not to do. And I know there's a contingent of people out there that enjoy watching Raw and SmackDown just to get mad, and more power to you if that's what you want to do. I'm not going to hold that against you. But I do think sometimes when people get super wound up about things, just turn it off. Go and do something else. Watch AEW, watch NXT. Don't watch wrestling at all. It's nice to have a detox from wrestling every now and then. But don't let it bring you down. Never forget, wrestling's meant to be fun. If you're not having fun, turn it off and walk away. Go do something that puts a smile on their face. Frequently Fly says, calm down, Simon. Stuff just happens. Not true, Frequently Fly. When it comes to the wild card rule and the brand split doesn't just happen. Stuff doesn't just happen. WWE tries to overly justify it every single time. And it annoys me because it's insulting to the fans. And usually I let that stuff slide. There's always an exception to the rule. The wild card rule, the brand split is it. It's not, I tell you why, 'cause it's not hard to do. Should we put Sami Zayn on Raw? No, he's SmackDown. All right, we'll get someone else. Easy fix. Ice Blaze in the Super Chat says, I was waiting for the Viking Warrior versus Street Profits to have a DQ or running finish, as I'm so used to these now. Glad they let someone win. I agree with that too. I still think they should have built that up more, but totally, man, right? And that was a kind of another issue I had on Raw. Like Humberto Carrillo beats Andrade with a surprise victory roll out of nowhere, an offshoot of the roll up, and it actually made sense for that match because you're pushing Andrade, you're pushing Humberto. Zelina Vega got involved. Keep this feud going. So have Carrillo win like that. But it's been so watered down and so diminished because we do it every single Raw, which we also did on this Raw too. That when you do have the surprise roll up, it's it doesn't feel as effective as if it should, which is the opposite here, obviously, because you assume that WWE is looking for their get out of jail free clause, and they don't. And they actually let somebody win. And they let the Viking Raiders win. And they are your tag team champions. This is why I didn't mind it so much. I minded the fact there was not a bigger build, because I think that would have really meant something. But, having your tag team champions beat some challengers, hell yeah. It makes the Viking Warriors look better, especially when squash matches don't do anything, right? They just don't. They've already established themselves as this dominant team. They need to be taken on named pairings, and they did, and they won. I find it too hard to get mad at that, even though I know people are going to get upset because everybody just gets upset. Outside of that, I think that was mostly everything that happened on Raw, unless I'm forgetting something. Oh, Rey Mysterio versus AJ Styles in the main event. I know it was a bit higgledy-piggledy because we kind of had a mistake with the finish where I think Styles was going for the Superstars clash, but he slipped, happens, and clearly Raw went long because we cut off with somebody going, and the still, just cut off. So we went long. So that kind of took away some of the joy. And again, Rey Mysterio did actually win with the most devastating move of all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up, but you have to take things in the context they're presented. And AJ Styles and Rey Mysterio are so good, and their matches are so excellent. And again, it doesn't make any difference, but from my vantage point, because I do wrestle, I watch the thing they're doing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they are brilliant. I don't care that Randy Orton got involved. I don't care that the OC got involved. I don't care that there was a roll up to win. It's just everything else kind of overshadows that because the bar, the level of quality is just so damn high. And it's amazing. I think Ray's 46, and AJ Styles is like 42. Not that makes a massive difference. If anything, it helps because you can see all their experience. But it was just so good. It was just such a good wrestling match. It just blew my mind how anybody can be that good. So when you do get all the WWE-ness, I'm like, whatever, I don't care. I'm just going to enjoy this for what it is. So, yeah, I love that. I love that main event. Wimblow86 in the Super Chat says, highlight of the night, a jobber defeats Rowan. Well, not really. A referee just called off the match after he chokeslammed him about 100 times. I don't I am completely sat on the fence when it comes to Erick Rowan because it all depends what's in that cage. I like this idea of the jobber, grabbing the cage, running up to the top of the rampway and then try and get the ref to count out Rowan. But it's all for naught if in the cage we get Mae Young's hand, Hornswoggle, Vince McMahon, I don't know, Stephanie McMahon, I don't know, Dildo. If any of these things are in that cage, the whole thing falls apart. It needs to be something excellent, and I can't think what that could be. I have absolutely no ideas. And until I know what's in it, and WWE doesn't have the best history when it comes to these kind of reveals, I'm taking a step back. I'm not giving it an up. I'm not giving it a down. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I am completely, like I say, sitting on the fence until I know. And WWE's track record is, again, giant egg, right? You saw the Undertaker interview on the WWE Network with Stone Cold Steve Austin. He thought he was going to be Eggman. And that's because he knows what WWE can. The Undertaker knows, and we all know. I don't even have a clue. I sat there trying to come up with ideas. I literally don't know. I don't know. You tell me. What's in Erick Rowan's cage? It's not a euphemism. Shout out to Undead FBQ in the super chat. Always supporting. Always nice to see you, Undead. Bray on SmackDown drew me back in. I'm on the fence with WWE. The brand split lasted. I just find I'm watching both SmackDown and Raw like, what the fuck? Yeah, I can't handle that. Yeah, no, I thought, honestly, the Miz Bray Wyatt program and SmackDown from top to bottom was good. And it's made me want to see that match, which is the perfect way of me knowing that WWE did something right. I kind of struggled with the dog food thing with Roman Reigns, which I don't think we've talked about. I don't like the fact they rubbed dog feud on Roman Reigns because, again, it's one of those things that when non-fans hear about it, they think wrestling is immature. But actually, in execution, they really did whip Roman Reigns' ass before this, and it was super aggressive. I actually quite like the angle. I just would much rather they had hit him with a chair or with the whatever, rather than rub dog food all over him. That was the only issue that I had with it. But again, the execution wasn't awful. It was done with a lot more vitriol and a lot more venom than I'm used to seeing on SmackDown. And I think if we had done anything else in that scenario, a lot of people would have been ranting and raving about how good that was. And Roman was a superhero for a bit, but the numbers game got the better of him. He got beaten down. It's just a shame we have to use dog food because, as we know, Roman Reigns isn't actually a dog, although WWE seems insistent that he is. Also, I have no idea why Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin is a TLC match, but I guess we'll learn. Lakendrick Collins, the super chat says, the Street Profits weekend segment was terrible. It was the canned laughter, wasn't it? It didn't help. It wasn't ideal. I think they did the best of what they could do with it. I don't know why it was placed there on the show. Obviously, it's pre-record, but we'd seen them get their ass whipped by the Viking Raiders, so that made it a bit strange. Not the best. I would agree with you. Don't know why we did it either. I don't, is this to transition the Street Profits to be like on-screen performers as opposed to wrestlers? I don't know. All of that was very, very weird, and I didn't really take much away from it. Undead FBQ in the super chat. Could it be Liv Morgan in the cage? Do you know what? It actually could. It actually could. That was strange. Back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, I'm stealing my ups and downs jokes, but we had a Liv Morgan on the mic saying I'm going to do a makeover, and then here we are millions of years later, and all of a sudden from nowhere we have a commercial with Liv Morgan saying, "Oh, I'm coming back, got a makeover." She took a long time to get that makeover. I wouldn't be shocked if she came out of Erick Rowan's cage. I really, really wouldn't. And then we teamed those two up. In fact, it's probably going to happen. Some people have tried to suggest that during that vignette, there were echoes of Bray Wyatt's theme music. I don't hear it. I could be wrong. There's this long-standing rumor that Bray Wyatt and Liv Morgan are actually a pairing. The fact that aired on Raw makes me think she's coming back to Raw, but who knows, right? Whoever knows with that stuff. But I want to see her back. I thought she was good in that Charlotte match back in 1842. I liked her a lot. I think Liv Morgan has something. Let's see what the makeover is. Thing is, the Harley Quinn movie's out soon. I worry. This could be an Emelina situation. Sean Gihorn in the super chat says, do you think WWE will give the women's tag belts to Becky and Charlotte to set up a horsewomen tag title match for the Rumble, keep both singles titles intact, and probably keeps them out of the Rumble itself? Probably, but I don't want to see Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair as tag team champions. I want to see the Kabuki Warriors as tag team champions. And I want to see the Kabuki Warriors taking on other teams that are built up to look like, I don't know, credible opponents. And if you have the tag belts on Becky Lynch, she's not going to defend that Raw Championship either. I think the Raw Rumble is probably going to be Asuka versus Becky Lynch one-on-one, and then Becky Lynch can get her win back that she lost last year. But again, what you do on Sunday, I don't know. They probably will win. But who knows, right? I can't figure this one out. I don't know what the end goal is. And I don't know why Becky Lynch hasn't defended her Raw title in 3 months. I really, really, really don't. But yeah, you could do that. I think if you're going to do the 4 horsewomen stuff, you probably want to build it to WrestleMania. But yeah, you're right. Bayley and Banks are a team, and Charlotte and Thing are a team. It just feels all over the place, doesn't it? Though, doesn't really feel like 2 cohesive units. I don't know. You tell me. But if it's executed right, again, it's all about execution, as Seth Rollins showed us last night. If they do it right, and I buy in and I go along for the ride, then it will be fantastic. Shout out to Dan Lemley in the super chat. He just put some money in there. Thank you, Dan. Massively appreciate it. So I'm trying to think, have I forgotten anything else that happened on Raw? Well, we've done the Street Profits. We don't need to talk about that. We've done all the backstage stuff with Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. I thought that rocked. We should probably talk about the releases. There is another episode coming out today, which I did with the Patreon because I needed to catch up, so you can keep an eye out for that. But we do talk about this. But in terms of the live show here, look, people are now rolling their eyes going, oh, they only let Luke Harper out their deal because it was due to expire in April and he's got a 90-day no-compete, so he can't wrestle till April anyway. So... But look, I don't worry about stuff like that. All I care about is that Luke Harper is free and he wanted to be free. And the Ascension wanted to be free and so are they. And that goes for Sin Cara as well. I don't want to get too hippy-trippy as I sometimes do on these podcasts. But, we only have one shot at this life as far as we're aware. And while it's amazing that those guys have all lived their dream, they work for WWE, you can't debate that. I can imagine it's a double-edged sword when you want to be... treated in a certain way, and you're so close for that happening, and yet you're banging heads with people, or there's too much red tape. Luke Harper is 40 next year, so I'm sure that he wants to get his career back on track. We haven't seen Victor and Connor on Raw again. Who knows when? And Sin Cara has hit the ceiling in that company. So to allow them to go there on the indie scene or wherever they're going to go and ply their trade, I just think is good all around. So whether it's WWE being nice or it's WWE being horrible or it's a neutral thing, I don't care. The right thing has gone down. And I think that's what's important. And ultimately, they don't really have to worry. I don't think if Brody Lee, Luke Harper's old indie persona, turns up in All Elite Wrestling, I do think it would be, a massive plus for them. But I don't think then 1 million more people are going to watch because I think it's a group effort. There's only a few people that can move numbers like that, and there would be Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, John Cena. Hulk Hogan probably if he moved to somewhere like All Elite Wrestling because people would lose their mind. And Randy Orton would make a difference. But there's a select few. So I think we should just allow people to wrestle. Because it is a short-lived career unless you're really, really lucky. You never know what your next match is going to bring. People getting injured all the time. So, that's my thoughts on that. And maybe more are coming. Maybe more are coming. Someone said I didn't mention the second Street Profit segment, even though we just talked about it for 5 minutes. Just want to let you know. You can rewind and check that out should you so wish. And I think, where's my notes? There they are. They're right here. Let me go through my notes just to make sure that I haven't forgotten to give either somebody a shout out or got nobody talks like that. Notes written straight on my phone, which you can try and guess who I am talking about this week. You should be. There was a conversation between 2 people that sounded like no conversation I've ever heard in my life. I mean, the only other thing is Alistair Black versus Buddy Murphy, which I am very, very excited about. I think it will be really good if done right. And it's one of those situations where I don't know who's going to win in a good way. I feel sorry for Zack Ryder. I remember Zack Ryder doing an interview within the last 12 months where he said that he thought he may one day be WWE champion. I don't think WWE sees it that way. Buddy Murphy killed him. And Alistair Black went one-on-one with Tozawa, and Tozawa got more efforts in than Zack Ryder did. But that's a cool matchup. And again, like the guy said earlier, if we actually have a finish here and we don't do any cop-outs, great. I want both of them to be pushed, but if you're focusing on Alistair Black for now, fine. Focus on him, then make sure you rehab Buddy Murphy as and when and vice versa. Make the choice and stick to it. As long as they go in there and smash it and aren't put on the damn pre-show, I'll be happy. Shout out to my man Anthony Taggle, always an awesome supporter. Nice to see you, T-Dog. Here to say hi, and WWE finally did it and changed the Kabuki Warriors entrance music. I legitimately popped for that. Hope all is well, mate. Hand on heart. Thanks, dude. Yeah, they did. I mean, they did that last week, I think, or maybe 2 weeks, whenever it was. Such a relief to my ears. I hate the cross-fading music. Again, because it's lazy. I think laziness is the thing that turns me into a wrestling nerd. when there's no need for it and you do it anyway. I'm like, man, that would take 10 minutes to sort out. It's quite good music as well. It's grown on me. It matches their personas. I like Kairi Sane's new look. I think she looks badass. They're just a great tag team. They're just great, and everybody, I don't really see them as heels because I really like them and I want them to win because they're so good. But at least they have embraced it in the way that you'd want them to. I really like them. I really like that team. I think they're great. I'm a big fan. And yeah, because when you got proper music as well, you feel like a proper team. Who else was doing it recently? Oh, I can't. I'm not even going to think about it. But just give people music. Even if you just go into your stock category library and pick something, that's fine. Carl Lincoln in the Super Chat says, here's $1 for every day of each week. Should Hell in a Cell and TLC be cut so they don't make Chamber and Money... let me start again. Should Hell in a Cell and TLC be cut so they don't make the Chamber and Money in the Bank look bad as pay-per-view gimmicks? I think the problem with Hell in a Cell and TLC is that, again, as we saw back in October, and as we're already seeing for next or this week, we work backwards. We don't build a story that should then, we have to have it in a Hell in a Cell because that's the last thing. Like Michaels and Undertaker back in 97, we say to ourselves, well, we have a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. We need to put somebody in the cell. Let's just put our two biggest stars in it. And it never really works. Like, why was Bray Wyatt versus Seth Rollins in there? Because we had to have one. And they're doing that at TLC. Roman and Baron Corbin doesn't need to be in there. The Kabuki Warriors versus Charlotte and Becky doesn't need to be in there. Bobby Lashley versus Thingamabob doesn't need to be a tables match. But we're doing it because it matches the pay-per-view. So in that sense, yes, I do think it's bad. Money in the Bank gets away with it because it has a reason. It has a consequence. The Elimination Chamber usually builds to WrestleMania, so that works. So they don't necessarily need to cut them, but they just need to respect the fact that we are doing it elsewhere so that we should do it here. I totally know what you mean. It's, I don't really mind. Like, it's a bit water off a duck's back for me. I know some people get proper frustrated. I'm just like, okay. And it does make for better matches, when there's weapons and stuff involved. So, yeah, I think it's important to try and manage that. But if we're not going to do it. So, yes, a little bit of sense with it would be better. Like, that's why the Royal Rumble works. Because your main event is going to be 30 men, 30 women. And they're all fighting to be in the main event of WrestleMania. Perfect. See how easy that is to explain? And if someone goes to me, well, why is Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin having a TLC match? Well, I don't know. What's hanging above the ring? I know sometimes they do it with pinfalls, but sometimes they hang it at the ring. Is it going to be a can of dog food? Is it going to be a dog chain? Is it going to be an actual dog? Vince Russo comes back. Richard Dalloway in Super Chat says, as a postman, I don't have time for wrestling. Thank goodness for Miller. You're very welcome, Richard. Remember, I watch wrestling so you don't have to. And thank you very much for delivering post. It's really important. Everybody loves post. No matter how old you are, 5, 15, 25, 35, 45, 55 plus, everybody enjoys getting mail. He says, looking at his envelope today, his letterbox today. No post, no mail. On that note as well, signmiller.bigcartel.com. If you'd like some merchandise mail, you can get it. And also shout out to pinsandknuckles.com. They sponsor my podcast very, very kindly. You can go there for all your merchandise needs. They can make you t-shirts. And they also have their own t-shirt store, which is pinsandknucklesmerch.com. And I have an exclusive t-shirt up there that you can get. And I also have more exclusive t-shirts over my Patreon. Patreon.com/Simon316 or 316. There's a link in the description below. And yeah, you can get exclusive t-shirt. You can come on my podcast. Literally come and talk to me for 45 minutes to an hour about anything you want when it comes to wrestling. What else can you get? A postcard. I'll send you a postcard. You can get a personalized video message. There's loads of stuff on there. You can join my weekly Q&A chats. Check it out if you have the time. My Mag Rag Havanen in the Super Chat says, the Tawny Baldy Roman Reigns feud is just bad writing, particularly the last episode of SmackDown. Roman's comeback just got squandered by WWE. Yeah, we've kind of all forgotten about him coming back earlier in the year to rapturous applause and rapturous love. But we did with Daniel Bryan as well. Don't forget, Daniel Bryan came back from a career-ending injury, and he was feuding with Big Cass. They're not very good at pushing baby faces. That's the issue. They are. Look at Seth Rollins, right? They're so much better at capturing what a heel's meant to be. And it's really something they need to work on. Because, yeah, we want to get behind Daniel Bryan. You want to get behind Roman Reigns. But they don't really do it in a way that allows it to happen. Although Roman Reigns is getting more cheers than he used to be, though. If you're grading it on a curve, we're definitely on an upward trend. We mentioned Big Cass as well. I don't know whether you saw. I think he deleted the tweet now. But he basically threatened to kill Joey Janela if Joey Janela kept talking about him and Enzo. I'm going to take a little bit of a different tact with this. If you have been following Big Cass's problems the last few months, he's clearly struggling a lot with personal issues. I think so, we'll say apparently to cover ourselves, that he has accepted rehab help from WWE. So all I will say is that I hope that he is getting that. I hope he is getting the assistance. I don't think his head is in the right place. And that can make you say and do stupid things. So that's my take on that. Mental health is a very serious issue. I can imagine it's quite prevalent in wrestling given the long days and the impact that it has on your body. But disturbing, I will say. And that's all I'll say about it. Should Get Horn Super Chat says, Black Mass is the best finisher in wrestling. Reminds me of Sweet Chin Music back in the day. HBK was the only person doing a super kick, just more devastating. I agree. And the Black Mass is good because when he whammed it on Tozawa last night, the crowd came alive. Nobody had really made any sound during that match. They sat on their hands for one reason or another. And he slammed him with that Black Mass and everybody made a noise. Everybody. And it was so good. And that's half the battle, having a finisher that people believe in. And people totally believe in that Black Mass because he properly wallops people. It must hurt like hell. But no, it's true. I mean, best finishes right now. I'll always like the Stunner. I know there's an asterisk over that, but I'll always like the Stunner. Black Mass is in there. I like Murphy's Law, the Murphy Effect, whatever the hell he calls it. I always get it wrong. Other than that, I mean, we've got some arm bars. We've got the Oscar Lock. Charlotte does, figure eight spears. End of Days is quite good, actually. I put End of Days in there. Always looks, when he wins with the End of Days Baron Corbin, I'm like, yeah, that looks like it could beat someone. So, but yeah, I think Black Mass is probably number one. Let me know in the chat. What's the best finisher in WWE right now? Go. Ice Blaze in the super chat says, laughing, dog above the ring, kennel from heaven match. Hey, I tell you, if Vince Russo was still there, he would suggest it, and he would suggest stuff on polls, and he would suggest. If you're a new wrestling fan. In WCW, probably 2000, my timeline is not great. We had a Viagra on a pole match. Viagra on a pole. What was the winner going to do? Take some and just crack one off in the ring? We had Judy Bagwell on a pole. We had a rat on a pole. Everything was on a damn pole. So you can bet your ass if Vince Russo was back, he would do a Kennel from Heaven match, and a dog would be hanging from the ring, and whoever gets the dog first wins. Everyone is saying RKO. It's a good point. The RKO is the best finisher in WWE. So someone says the roll up, blast my ass off. That's good. Insane elbow, also a good shout. The Cobra doesn't count. He's gone. Santino's not around. I think the RKO is probably the best. Marcus says the curb stomp. To me, the curb stomp has been watered down. Like even when he hit it on Raw on the concrete, I kind of went, yeah, it's good because I know what it means in context. But yeah, I didn't think it doesn't have the same impact as it once did. Hopefully we can rebuild that. I think RKO is in there. A few people like the insane elbow. Claymore kick, that's a good shout. So there are some good finishes in there. I think it's all about the execution, right, as we keep talking about. Shout out to Press in the super chat who says, Sup, Miller? Are WWE falling behind with heels' faces? I love AEW's approach where they just let their stars be human beings and do what they feel like. I think WWE has fallen behind in baby faces. I don't mind WWE being a company that does have good guys and bad guys. Vince McMahon 97. But I don't want AEW and WWE to copy each other. I want them to do different things. And if WWE is going to be the more old school product, they just need to create some baby faces that you can get behind, which is why I'm excited about Kevin Owens. I think Kevin Owens ticks all those boxes. I want to see him do well. He never annoys me in this segment. I'm excited to see him. I think his match quality is great. He can cut a promo. He's funny. He's witty. These are all the things that make a great babyface. But you need to be pushed. You need to win matches. You need to win belts. You need to win feuds. And aside from John Cena, look at Seth Rollins, right? Look at Roman Reigns. WWE hasn't necessarily pulled the trigger on those guys. So that's that. I don't think they're falling behind. I just think they need to go back to what used to work for them. And I'm more than happy for AEW to keep painting those shades of grey. That's great. That's awesome. It means I can kind of pick and choose in AEW, whereas in WWE they can try and make me care. Nothing wrong with that, as long as it's done right. And I don't think it has been for a while. But I do think we're in a better position now than we have been. I truly do. Kevin Owens is the right guy to fill that role. Seth Rollins is right to be a heel. Roman Reigns is an anomaly, but let's see how he gets on with Baron Corbin and whatever he does afterwards. The Fiend fits that role. Bray Wyatt the Fiend is good, bad, indifferent. Some people, he goes all over the place. So they have kind of got a nice balance, but we just need more good guys. We need more faces that people really care and that people really want to see. Like when I tune into All Elite Wrestling, I really want to see Cody Rhodes, right? I just love him. And I get excited when he comes out. Kevin Owens does have a similar feeling, but before we got here, didn't really feel that way about Seth, didn't really feel that way about Roman. Respect them, incredible wrestlers. But, I always talk about your guy in wrestling. It's like it's a feeling, it's a reaction in your stomach. And the one I always use is late 90s. I knew Chris Jericho was great, but he wasn't my guy. because I picked other people for whatever reason. Other people, Chris Jericho was the best person they'd ever seen in their life. And we need more of that more natural, I'm just warming to this guy, and I'm not 100% sure why. That's what WWE can do better. Raghaven again in the super chat. Appreciate it today, my friend. We just love the tallies on ups and downs. We need a jobber tally whenever Erick Rowan or Viking Raiders squash jobbers. Also a roll-up tally for 2020. A lot of people message me about the roll-up tally. I can't do it because I like to try and keep ups and downs fresh and different. We would run that joke into the ground so fast, there'd be like 72 on every episode. I think people would get sick of it. So you are right, though. And if Erick Rowan does keep squashing jobbers, maybe we will bring that in. Again, the whole Erick Rowan thing is what's in the cage. Let me know in the chat. What is in Erick Rowan's cage? I want to know. Serious answers. No joke. You can joke if you want. But I want serious answers. What we'll do as well, if you've got any questions you want to ask, throw them in the chat and we'll do a quick fire Q&A because that's always fun. We should also mention the NWO and Batista going into the Hall of Fame. Congrats to all of them. I was more excited about the Batista news because I just love Batista. I think he's great. Kind of think it's weird when groups go in, but I understand they're a name. Yeah, I think it's been a great 12 months for Dave Batista. This is how he can sort of draw a line under his wrestling career. I think he'll do a good speech. I think he deserves it. I think he's awesome. Big Dave, man. Underrated. And sometimes pegged as a... he's just a big guy. I mean, he was, but he did more than that. Like, he had a great feud with The Undertaker, a great feud with Edge and Randy Orton and John Cena. And Triple H. I really like Batista. I was a big fan of him back in the day. And I always appreciated that when he came back, he didn't necessarily assume he should be a good guy. He tried to play into the audience and what they thought it would be. So, yeah, I think that's awesome. Batista is a great shout. And the NWA would be cool as well, right? Hogan, Scott Hall, Nash, Sean Waltman. Sean Waltman now in with DX and NWO, but not as X-Pac. It was Sean Waltman. So, that's nice. Right, what have we got? Someone said a skunk. This is what's in Erick Rowan's cage. So there was a rumor that it was a skunk. It better not be a skunk. That sucks. Luke Harper's contract, not true anymore because he's been let out, so we know that one. Mark Henry's hand child, that's kind of amazing because I make that joke on ups and downs and you haven't seen it yet. So fair play. Rats. See, these are all bad answers. Not because you're saying bad answers, but if that's what comes out, that's gonna suck. People asking when ups and downs is. It will be soon. I got it to them really late today. I don't know whether you can tell by my voice. I got a damn cold. It's a long story today. But soon, keep an eye on What Culture. Ups and downs will be up soon. Of course, if you listen to this podcast, it's already up. Go check it out. Someone's asked me the meaning of life. Be happy, dude. The meaning of life is to be happy because if you're happy, nothing else matters. Who else would I like to see in the Hall of Fame for 2020? Well, who I'd like to see is different. I mean, The Undertaker, The Rock, but they won't go in because we've got our two headliners. I'd like to see Christian go in. I would like... outside of that, it's really hard to think who could even be in there. I don't know. I'll go with Christian. Christian will be the one person I throw out there because I can't think who else. Who else is from the Attitude Era that probably hasn't gone in that should do? Dudley Boys are in. Maybe Matt Hardy, but he's still active. I know most people like to be retired before they get out, but Matt Hardy gives it. I know that Jeff Hardy's going through some stuff at the moment, and shout out to him. I hope he does all right. But I know we will see. Simon, Chris Jericho or MJF as the best heel for 2019? Chris Jericho. I mean, Chris Jericho, while not really a heel because everybody loves him, Chris Jericho's had another transformative year, which he somehow seems to do every 12 months. Definitely, I think in most people's top fives for best of 2019. MJF is incredible and will be an amazing character and performer down the line. But Chris Jericho is everything you want from wrestling. He is great. Covington versus Usman. Thoughts on who would win? Getting some UFC chat in there. I mean, probably I'll never go with Covington. I go with Usman for reasons we won't go into. Did anybody else see Alistair Overeem's lip get knocked off his mouth this week? I know there have been worse knockouts and obviously the more dire consequences, but in terms of my reaction, that has got to be the worst thing I've ever seen, my word. Also, as we are talking about combat sports, shout out to Anthony Joshua versus Andrew Ruiz. A lot of people got on AJ's back. It wasn't the most exciting fight in the world, but if, like me, you just appreciate what boxing is, as opposed to it being a massive fight, I thought he was great. And I thought he knew exactly what he needed to do to win and then move his career on. A lot of pressure, smashed it. I liked it. Shout out to Anthony Joshua. The Kingslayer in the Super Chat, much appreciated, says, what was your favourite WrestleMania and why is mine 31? WrestleMania 31's good, dude. Especially because going into it, everyone thought it was going to suck. You got the Seth Rollins steal at the end. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns before that is good. Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton is good with that finish. All the ladder matches are good. WrestleMania 31's really good. Mine's boring. It's WrestleMania 17 or WrestleMania 17X, whatever the hell they call it. X7. It's a boring answer, but I was at the right age for it. Every match was just crazy. Seeing it in an arena like that at the time was amazing. Had the TLC match with obviously the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, and the Hardys. It was just incredible. And I still can't get over that Edge Jeff Hardy spot. It's just an awesome, and it's not too long because it was before the era of having to run things for 7 hours. So yeah, ticks around for WrestleMania 17. Do you think Matt Hardy deserves the position he is in right now? We talk about this on Ups and Downs. It's hard for me. I would like Matt Hardy to be used more, but you do want to get Drew McIntyre over, and to me it does mean something that he beat Matt Hardy. So it's like a bit of a table tennis ping pong game. It's hard to work out, but I think Matt Hardy is great, and I don't think he gets his due, and I would like him to get his due. Under FBQ in the Super Chat, did you see Being the Elite? I'm so behind now. Kenny telling Matt Jackson, who was running, that it's a marathon, not a sprint. Also, the Dark Order kept appearing. That's a great line. That's a great line, because obviously that's the line between NXT and AEW. It is a good show, Being the Elite. You can miss it. Excuse me. You don't have to worry about it, but I do love that. And I like all the Dark Order stuff. I saw the one clip of somebody pulling off one of the Dark Order like telephone numbers. I love the fact that I understand what the Dark Order is, and more power to All Elite Wrestling for taking a quite popular criticism and turning it round so it worked. I will try and get into this because that sounds fun. And it is a marathon, not a sprint. They're neck and neck now as well, AEW and NXT. I love it. I hope they're neck and neck forever. I hope they both even out at 1 million, and sometimes someone does 9, 10, and the other person does 1, 1. And we go back and forth and everybody's happy. That's what I want. Lakendrick Collins in Super Chat says, who goes in the Women Hall of Fame this year? Oh, man, that's a hard question. I don't know. Victoria would be a good shout, but there was an interview with her the other day saying she doesn't know why she's been blackballed by WWE, or words to that effect. I don't think I'm doing her justice. I like to see Victoria go in there. I always appreciated her. Who else out there? I don't know. I'd have to see a list. It's too hard to come up with a name. Much like the men's one. It's too hard to come up with a name off the top of my head. Michelle McCool, has she gone in? She'll probably go in at some point. Where am I going? Really, Drew beating Matt means something. It was forced passing of the torch, and I have a clean finish. No, it depends how you look at it, right? It meant something to me. It doesn't have to mean something to you, but me as a Matt Hardy fan, for now, before I know where it's going, I will say, wow, Drew McIntyre beat Matt Hardy really easily. Drew McIntyre's a badass. Again, I perceive my own entertainment in my own way, and you're allowed to do the same as well. Is Y2J the best wrestler of the 2010s? No. Daniel Bryan would be mine. I know he was out for half of it, but in everything that happened at WrestleMania 30, the sheer joy that the crowd got from him, he never had a bad match. He's unassuming, which makes him incredibly interesting and different. Yeah, Daniel Bryan is mine. Although I have to sit down and think about that more, but I think Daniel Bryan would be mine. Should Paige go into the Hall of Fame? Depends how you see the Hall of Fame. She had a pretty damn good career. Cut way too short. But if you're looking at longevity and drawing money, maybe not. But if you're looking into iconic characters that, certainly made an impression in this instance on a lot of young girls, then yes, she should. But there's many avenues to go down when we're talking about Hall of Fames, and nobody can agree on it. As far as I'm concerned, it's an honor and it's a nice thing to get, and it's a good way to rub your ego. So I'm never going to crap over it because I think that's horrible. Why is Drew not being used well? Well, I would argue he's not being used well or badly. He just kind of exists. I don't really know what the direction for Drew McIntyre is, but we'll see, right? We'll see after the whole Matt Hardy thing. Connor and Victor should join the Dark Order and strengthen up that stable. Not the worst idea in the world. Do not hate it. I don't want too many people to just migrate across to AEW because we know why. We've talked about it. But that's good. Simon, do you ever see yourself wrestling in trunks? No, I like my shorts. A, it's a shout out to my dad Goldberg, and B, I find them really comfortable. I'm already not great at walking around with my top off, so I'm happy in the shorts. Also, most people wear trunks. I'm going to stick with the shorts. Is it because Drew doesn't sell merchandise? Well, that's a double-edged sword. The more you push him, the more merchandise he'll properly sell. Do you think they would ever induct AJ Lee into the Hall of Fame? I hope so. I think she deserves it, but it all depends on what the relationship is there with CM Punk and all of that nonsense. and lots of people ask for ups and downs. As I said, it will be there. I got it to What Culture late today, so they have to edit it, but it'll be up probably in the next sort of 30 minutes to an hour. You have it before 3 p.m. I think that's it. I think that's this episode done. We talked about Raw. We've answered some questions. We'll get into TLC later in the week, and we will see. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where we're at. We've got some match. We've got the matches actually. Let's go through the matches that we do know. I think this is the list that I made, so this may not be 100% accurate, but I had it down as Roman Reigns, King Corbin, a TLC match. New Day versus The Revival for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, because as we know, if those two don't fight every week, the world ends. Bray Wyatt versus The Miz. Alistair Black, Buddy Murphy. Kabuki Warriors versus Becky Lynch in a TLC match. And Rusev versus Bobby Lashley, obviously with Lana in his corner, in a tables match. What else could we potentially get? I mean, there'd be things I'm completely missing. I guess you could get a match with Drew McIntyre, maybe. I don't know. Maybe the Viking Raiders versus Street Profits again. You could see WWE doing that, can't you? They love to do that kind of stuff. I hope we don't get that many more matches. Let's keep it to a 3-hour pay-per-view. There's nothing wrong with that. You are killing it with those mock commentary videos, mate. Thank you, my friend. Let's do a quick shout out to that before they go. So I've started doing these stupid videos where I pretend I'm a backstage producer in WWE and that I'm producing the segments, and I actually use the footage. It means I have to turn off monetization, obviously, because WWE take that down straight away, as they should. It's their content. If you haven't checked it out, please do. It's on my YouTube channel. Again, just search for Simon Miller. And I would like to do more, but I would also like to know that they are being watched, because they take quite a while. But if you like them, please watch them. Please share them. You know, if we can get them going, that would be great. If you don't want to, that's fine. All I will ask for my YouTube channel is to give it a subscribe, because I'm an asshole and I'd like to get to 100,000 subs. Because I just would find it amazing. I'd see it as somewhat of an achievement, and I like achieving. But yeah, check them out, and if you like them, I'll do more. My man Presh says, when do I get to talk to you about Arsenal? Whenever you'd like, my friend. I do sometimes think about maybe doing an extra show with football, but then I feel like I'm watering myself down too much, overexposing myself. Let's find out. At SimonMiller316, that's my Twitter. If you would actually join me to talk about football once a week on here, we'll do it like this. We'll just stream and we'll talk. Send me a tweet just saying, yes, I want football talk or anything like that. And if I get enough, I'll do it. If not, I won't. I don't want to give you things that you don't want. And Bushman says in the super chat, Seth Rollins doesn't help Becky. Seth Rollins. Oh, I see what you mean. No, he doesn't. Well, I think they've just separated those two as much as possible, right? They have. They've moved them. They've moved them completely away from each other, and I think that's the best thing to do. I don't really think it worked. The whole Baron Corbin, Lacey Evans things was weird. I mean, Lacey Evans is a face now. They're on different. They're not on different shows at all. What am I talking about? I'm just thinking about Roman Reigns, and also now Seth Rollins is a bad guy. Becky Lynch is a good guy. I would keep them separate. I don't think it's the best. I don't think it's the best doing it. Thank you to Daft Monkey Balls as well. It says, please keep doing them. Comedic gold. That means a lot to me, dude. It really, really does. Again, I think most of us are, but I am my harshest critic, and I will overthink things to the end of days. Tie in there. So I really do appreciate everyone saying nice things about those videos. And like I say, if you like them, I'll keep doing them. And on that note, we'll wrap it up. Again, all of these videos, including the ones I've just been talking about, are made possible thanks to patreon.com/SimonMiller316 or the 316. I know December is a very hard month financially, so don't worry if you can't. But even if you can throw $1 in there, like I say, I'm a freelancer by trade. I like to explain myself so I don't just sound like an asshole. But I'm a freelancer by trade, and time is money. That's how it works when you're a freelancer. And I love doing stuff like this, but it needs to be financed. So thank you to everyone that is a patron. And if anybody could join, even at the $1 tier, it helps me no end. You can also do that at simonmiller.bigcartel.com, buy some merchandise, or you just give me a YouTube sub. That's fine too. Simonmiller316 at Instagram and Twitter. Shout out to everyone that has super chatted today and everyone that has joined the Patreon. It puts a smile on my face. Genuinely humbled every time I get a notification, because I know how hard it is to earn £1 or how hard it is to earn $1. It's not easy, and it's just not. It's just not. Like I say, it's a really cool thing to do. Outside of that, I think that's it. I think that's everything. That's all I've got. We will be back. We've got another episode dropping later today. I'd probably put it up on YouTube tomorrow or something like that, but it'll be out for podcast subscribers. I know 2 in a day is a bit much, but again, I want to make sure I give back to the Patreons. I think that's it too. Yeah, look, just enjoy AEW and NXT that will go down the next 24 hours. We'll try and do a gaming show tomorrow. There's not a lot is going on, but I think I may do my top 10 games of the year, and I think we'll stream that so we can talk about it. Spoiler, Gears 5 will be in it. in case you're interested. Otherwise, make sure you head over to What Culture WWE, What Culture Wrestling, and keep an eye out for Ups and Downs. We'll be up soon. It's my bad that it's late. I was having quite a crazy morning. And check out Kayfabe News too. Now ties into What Culture today. Check out Kayfabe News. Well, I say it ties into What Culture. What I mean is we did a little skit on Kayfabe News on Ups and Downs, which you'll see. But check out Kayfabe News. I'm going to stop ranting. I'm going to stop raving. Thank you very much for dedicating your time to me today. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you on the other side.